Join me on Zoom. You can. 135-155-101 for Zoom. Oh. join me on Zoom. Zoom number is 135-155-101.
Hi, Bishop. Can you see me?
Yes,
Okay.
I can.
I don't know if I'm doing this right. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening. Evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Oh, I love it. She sang that. Good evening. Good evening.
Evening.
Good evening.
Afternoon.
Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Good
You
evening.
sang right back.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. So glad that you're all.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. Waiting on the Facebook family to get on. Good evening. Welcoming, greeting all of you as you are getting on. So we're getting on and getting set, situated. I pray that all of you are practicing social distancing. I'm assuming that when this pandemic is over, that'll be there will be one phrase that we will be tired of: social distancing. We'll be really tired of that. Uh, Hello, Alex. How you doing? I hope you got some of them friends at Oral Roberts that you can call and tell them to jump on. So you got time to contact some your roommates, tell them to get on, and be ready for a word this evening. Uh, so, yeah, social distancing was be probably one phrase, should I say, that we literally would be tired of: social distancing. And just look, it's going to be in a dictionary somewhere. But and a lot of memes and such. But glad people are hopping on. Facebook family is coming in, and our Zoom connections are getting on. If you're watching me from Facebook Live and you want to join me on Zoom, you can. Zoom number is 135-155-101. 135-155-101. That's the Zoom link if you want to join me on Zoom. So I don't know if you have a preference or not, but nevertheless, I'm glad you guys are coming on. So faithful with being a part of this virtual community, and tell you that this is exactly what is keeping me going and keeping me encouraged. That those of you who have always made it your business to connect with our ministry, particularly when it comes to the ministry of the word. They have not missed a beat while we've been in this shelter-in-place order by the governor. And I want to just say thank you as people are still coming on and plugging in. Thank you so much for all of you who have spread the word about us being on this platform, and not been ashamed to get them connected with me. I hope that I've been saying something to help you over these past several weeks that we have been on the shelter in place. I hope, that's my prayer. I hope that I've been saying something. and that it has been both meaningful and encouraging to you. And so I am certainly blessed every time I get feedback that your family member has tuned in to watch, or somebody has connected and has had a positive response to the word. And so that is just super, super encouraging in so many ways. And so I want to thank you for plugging in and really being connected every week through our virtual church community. And we're looking to really shepherd those whom you invite. If you've invited someone to be a part of our virtual community, if you don't mind, please pass their name on to Pastor Selton, Elder Selton, because we definitely want to do a follow-up with these folks. We want to do a follow-up, make sure that they don't have any need of anything. Sometimes, and those of you who have kids, relationships and things like that, that sometimes the thing is not heard until somebody else comes and say the exact same thing. So you've been saying to the family and friends they need to do this and such, and they positively responded now, but having somebody else come along and say the same thing you said is an advantage. So we got Pastor Elder Selton here in our ministry who is ready to shepherd those people that you have invited on virtual community. So if you're okay, contact him, and those whom you have reached out to, invited, and they have connected, send that information to him so that he can do a follow-up with these folks to make sure that they don't have any specific needs, any particular prayer requests that we can funnel through our intercessors, those who have volunteered to pray for people. Hey, Vicki, I'm glad to see you on. Janice, you're on Facebook Live too, and Kia's on Facebook Live. And if you've not already, you know how we do every week. If you're not already, hit your settings so that you can start a watch party. I want you to do that. We've had a couple, but I really want to hit a higher number of watch parties. Where people across the country, 90% of the country. 90% of the country is under a shelter-in-place order. So around this time, they, you invite them to do a watch party because we are doing some good encouragement by the word. So I really want to really ramp up our watch parties because then that gives us more access to the virtual community, and so we want to be able to do that. So please, pass that along. Hit settings, do a watch party launch, and that would be so great. But if you invited anybody to our virtual community by way of our services and things like that, please pass their name on to Elder Selton, and even if maybe they might say, well, I prefer not to be contacted. That's okay. Send him their name anyway, so that we can pray for them. Because we still want to pray for them. The fact that they connected with us it's important. That they accepted your invitation to connect with us, so that's very important. So send him their name anyway, so that at least that we can send them out, that they can be covered in prayer. So he's ready to work. He's ready to shepherd this online community, and we want to be able to see him do that. And hey, Alice, we got somebody saying hello from Panama, Republic of Panama. Hey, welcome. I'm so glad you're on today. We got Panama watching us, folks. And hey, Karen. Hey, Cynthia. So I'm just so excited. So I'm just giving a little bit more time. People are popping on, and they're coming on, and we just hey, Alma. Hey, Brandon. People are coming on. Hey, Renee. Good to see you. Powell family is on. My elders are on. Hey, Bree. How you feeling? Good to see you. Lorraine and Aaron, my boy. I so miss his cover, and I feel so exposed. Feel so exposed. Tisha, good to see you. Chanel, Nadine, Mary, Daniel, and Michelle. Michelle better be listening. Mary, you give me a report afterwards. Karen is on. Glad to see you guys are on. The Whites and everybody, Deborah. So we're getting on. We're getting set up. And we're just so encouraged because God is faithful. I heard that some checks came in the mail. I don't know what that means, but y'all know what that means. Some checks came in the mail or deposited in your account. So I don't know what you can't do nothing with it anyway. So just rejoice in the Lord. You got something after the pandemic. But man, I tell you, it's good. Good to see you, Mary Ann. It's so good to see you. But we're just getting people an opportunity, a few more minutes to get on. And if Otto's on, she said, somebody said, who got a check? You're so funny. If you ain't got it yet, just wait by the mail. It's coming. But God is just so faithful, man. I am just truly encouraged in this season, and to be encouraged this season. Let me tell you something. I'm saying this, and we're giving people a little bit more time to hop on. But to be encouraged in this season, let me tell you this. To be encouraged in this season, I didn't find the encouragement in the pandemic. I had the encouragement before the pandemic. The pandemic just exposed what God had already deposited in me. That's so great about Sunday's message. Sunday's message about being pre-programmed. It's a powerful word about being programmed. You were pre-programmed with courage before you needed it. That's the reason why James 1 says, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, knowing that the trying of your faith work patience. What you didn't know is that you were pre-programmed for patience before the problem came. Oh my goodness. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? You were pre-programmed with patience before the problem came. What you just need to do is to activate the patience. Whatever you're lacking in the middle of a crisis, all you need to do is activate it because God has already poured it in you. Hey, Siobhan. Hey, Overseer Riley. Good to see you from Arizona. My boy from Arizona is on. Good to see you, man. I've been watching you on Sunday. You've been ripping it up. Been embarrassing me, man, the way you preaching like you stole something. But it's good to see you on, Overseer. But, God has pre-wired us so many things. That's the reason why we can make it through this pandemic, because he's pre-wired. He pre-programmed. It's already in us. All you need to do is just activate it. That's all you need to do, and activate it. Think about it. If you ordered cable television and the cable box came to your house and they set it up, did you know that the cable box already comes pre-loaded with all the channels? It's already pre-programmed in the box. It's already pre-programmed. You don't have to input not one channel in the box. You don't have to input one channel. It's already preloaded in the box. And all you got to do is just plug up the box, give it a chance to set up, and boom, everything that you need is in the box. Isn't that something? Everything you need is in the box. Everything from whether you need news, whether you need weather, whether you want sports entertainment, whether you need movies, whether you need, you learn how to cook, whether you need to work through some legal issues, whether you need, some humanitarian, encouragement, if you need flashbacks, programs that are long gone, but they're being retro through other programming, whether you like Westerns, whether you like comedies, whether you like, whatever you need is already pre-programmed in the box in advance. It's already pre-programmed. And so God has already pre-programmed us with life, so that when the situation come, all you got to do is activate what's already in you. So just really, really encouraged by all of that. Really, really encouraged by all of that. The Lord is truly, he's doing some great things. So we're getting on, and we're responding. I want to encourage you. And I'll say this, hopefully I'll remember at the end, but I want to say this to you. Remember I was posting, asking people to invite and get the word out, because our desire was to shatter our online virtual attendance. I want you to know that our Easter service reached and was watched by over 7,000 people. Over 7,000 people watched, and it was like 7,500 people watched the word last Sunday. 7,500 people. Are y'all hear what I'm saying? That's more than if we had been here in the house. So, I want another Easter where we shelter in, because I'm reaching more people in a shelter in place than if we just showed up here. Pastors struggle about attendance live. But I'm going to tell you something. Easter Sunday, We reached over 7,500 people on Sunday, 7,500 virtually. And that's not even counting the people who did watch parties, and then the people who shared the message. Over 7,500 people heard a word about Heroes We Rise. Is that not? Come on, y'all can bless the Lord with me in that, because that is simply powerful, powerful. That word has gone out everywhere. 7,500 people. I couldn't get 7,500 people in this space that I'm sitting in now. There's no way. We've reached 7,500 people plus on Easter Sunday with Heroes We Rise. It's just, man, I have been on a high like never before. I've literally been I've not been able to come down because it's been such an amazing high. And I am so thankful for Elder Selton and his technical expertise that he is bringing to improve our online presence. Because we're gonna do it, man. And he's really helped us kick our game to another level. Hey, Siobhan, good to see you, honey. Hey, Charo, miss you. Nobody told you to move way down there where you moved. That's okay. Good to see you. But God is just so faithful in so many ways, and it's just crazy. It's just, man. And I just pray that other, churches had the same overwhelming success of reaching the virtual community. And we have an opportunity where people, listen, there were people, remember when Jesus said, I have sheep not yet of this fold? And, what happened is that sometimes the Lord couldn't depend on the church to get the message out because we like to congregate. That's why we're called the congregation, because we like to congregate. But the Lord wants you to scatter. So he found a way to leverage the pandemic to get his word to sheep that wasn't being picked up by the congregation because we congregate. Hey, Wanda, good to see you, girl. Yeah, so we congregate, and so every time there is a congregation. Hey, Ray, how you doing, Ray? Good to see you. Blame your mama for taking you out of the area so that I can't give you a hug, but I'll still make sure you get a gift. The post office is still working. But God's desire has always been to get the message out around the globe, and there were sheep that we were missing. So he found a way, and I say he found a way, but he created or he attached onto an ingenious way to get the word to sheep that had not yet been of the fold. He said, I know I'll do it. He said, guess what? He said, I'll use Zoom. I'll use Facebook Live. I'll use WebEx. I'll use all of that, and people will link and like and connect and share, and who wouldn't have linked, liked, and shared before, but they'll link, like, and share, and there's the sheep I was waiting on. There's the person I was trying to reach. There you go, right? And so it's just simply been just truly amazing. We reached 7,500 people on Sunday, 7,500 with the message. And we reached several, and we had a sunrise service, and we reached several hundred people with the sunrise service. Several hundred people saw the sun rise on Sunday, Easter. And so it was just truly remarkable. So we were right. We proved one thing. The church is not the building. We are the church. So anyway, I'm going to open up with a word of prayer, and then you're on at a great time, and I'll explain to you in a little bit why, but you're on at a great time. You tuned in at a great time. I'm telling you, you tuned in on a great time today, and I'll explain to you why in a minute. So let's just talk to the Father. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the amazing grace that you show us. It's often a word that is just, it could easily be accused of something being overused. But when we connect it back to you, grace cannot be something overly used and experienced. So we thank you for your amazing, overwhelming grace towards us in the middle of this pandemic. We're in a global pandemic, and every part of the world is being affected by this virus, this invisible enemy has been described. But the church is not a stranger to invisible enemy. We have an invisible enemy and we know his name. So we're not strangers to fighting an invisible enemy. In fact, Father, we remember the Apostle Paul, whom you inspired to write for our edification later, that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against the visible enemy is principalities. The invisible enemy is rulers of the darkness. The principalities is spiritual wickedness in high places, which are our invisible enemy. So we as a church have been accustomed to fighting an invisible enemy. So coronavirus is not something new with respect to the church always having had, since its conception, battling an invisible enemy. And because we have a history, Father, of fighting an invisible enemy, then we are reminded again of that dear Apostle Paul when he said, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through you, through the pulling down of strongholds. So you have thoroughly equipped us to battle and to face an invisible enemy. We know this. We can handle this. So, Father, we thank you in advance for always continually setting us up for success, for always working in us and working out of us so that our relationship with you is much stronger and our reflection of that relationship is much clearer to the people that we interact with. So, Father, thank you. Thank you. With a fresh kiss, thank you for waking us up this morning. With a fresh breath of air, thank you for helping us to gather ourselves so that we can spend another day in your word. Thank you for keeping us safe and keeping us healthy and giving us amazing rebound ability. Thank you. We have so much to be grateful for, Father, and we are without apology. Heavenly Father, we thank you. So we ask you to bless your word, Father. Bless your word. Bless your word. And we don't even make that request lightly. Bless your word, because we know that that you have given it to us so that we may live. So we thank you in advance for all that we are going to accomplish in this time of study. It's the name of your Son, Jesus, whom you have brought to us as our Lamb. Amen. Yeah, man. This is a good time to be on tonight. Just if you've not gotten the word out to other family and friends and such, or later do a watch party with them and watch this word again. This is a great time to be on tonight, because I'm going to talk about what I sense. I have been sensing, and I have not only been sensing, but I've been hearing through my interactions with a few folks what has been deemed coronavirus fatigue. And so I've been hearing that. And so the Lord has given me a word to address those of us who find ourselves. Hey, Nikki Dawson, good to see you on. Gwendolyn, hey, my girl, good to see you. People are experiencing coronavirus fatigue. We're about in our 29th, 30th day of our shelter in place here in Maryland on the East Coast, maybe a little bit longer because of how quickly and aggressive our governor went into action to issue, shelter in place orders here in the state of Maryland. So for us, it's a couple of more days, but it's been a minute that we've been in this shelter in place. And some of us, based on our personality bent, don't struggle with shelter in place. But other of us who have a personality bent where we're more social, we're more interactive, we like to get out, don't like to stay at home. Yeah, it's murder. It's been murder. It's been killing us. Not being able to go where we want to go, do what we want to do. This idea of being restricted. Hey, Robert, good to see you, bro. That not being able to, being restricted, having ourselves limited. Hey, Monica. been limited in the way that we've been limited. And for some of us, we're experiencing coronavirus fatigue. Without question, every time you turn on the news media, we're hearing all of the things as related coronavirus. They're interrupting regular scheduled programs in the evening with coronavirus pandemic updates. News feeds are filled with it. We're getting it, since it's global, it's coming everywhere. So we're hearing it through the news, we're hearing it, and then we're hearing it through our friends, their responses, up and down. And so there's some of you who are experiencing coronavirus fatigue. You're tired. Give me a little thumbs up if you're feeling that today. Give me a little thumbs up, a little holler there on Facebook Live if you're feeling that. Hit it a little bit in the chat. Did you feeling it? Just, routine is off. The novelty of being at home was exciting at first. Man, you was all for it. Man, I get to be home. At first you were envious of people who got to work from home, and now you ain't got no reason to be envious because you're thinking, oh my goodness, what did I ask for? You was like, why did they get to work from home? Now you've been working from home. Now you can't wait to get back out. Now you just, the routine is off. Some of you, your routine is off. You're up late and sleep. You're up late and you sleep in. You're as accustomed to getting up in the morning and heading out the door and you're navigating through traffic and all this kind of stuff. And, so all of a sudden the schedule is off, life is off. Your parents had breaks because your kids was in school for 8, 9 hours. They gave you a little break and you rush home and you had a limited schedule with them. And now get this thing, you with your kids, you with your kids. You think we had Dr. Carol S. Parham, one of the first African-American women that was the head of the public schools in Anne Arundel County years ago. We had invited her to our local ministry here to speak. And she made a comment one time. I don't know if you New Lifers way back would remember this. She would make a comment. She says, I understand that when they're at home, they're angels. But I'm going to tell you, when they come to school, they devils. She said, they angels at home. They can't do no wrong. Y'all swear me down. Your kids can't do no wrong. She said, but I'm here to tell you, when they get to school, they devils. She said, I'm just going to be honest with you. So all of a sudden, now you get a taste of demonology. I mean, some of y'all are getting educated in demonology with your kids. I ain't calling your kids demons, so don't email me. I'll reject it. I'm just being funny. But anyway, some of us get a crash course in demonology because they're little kids. But anyway, we're experiencing some coronavirus fatigue. And so you just, it's so much, it was fun at first, binge watching. Now you're caught up on everything that you said you needed to catch up on. So, caught up on everything now. So got to the end of that. And how many more snacks can you eat? How many more meals you got to eat every day? And how many times you got to walk around the trail? So we're just facing this fatigue. And so I just knew, I said, Lord, I need a word to get us through this place where we find ourselves, and we finding ourselves in this fatigue. And we got a few more weeks to get through this. So I said, Lord, I need a word for your people so we can get over this hump of this coronavirus fatigue. And I believe, I know I heard the Lord in this. And we're going to be coming from Hebrews chapter 12. And we're going to look at Hebrews chapter 12 because I believe that Hebrews chapter 12 is the answer for this coronavirus fatigue that you might be experiencing. This Hebrews chapter 12 is probably listen, let me tell you something. You can't, I can't stress enough. You came on at the right time. Thank you for setting aside whatever you were doing to join us tonight, because you couldn't have picked a better time to get a word to get you the rest of the way through this pandemic. I mean, especially with the fact that, our top elected official, our president, has already been speaking over the last couple of days about opening the country back up, which is the indication that, we're getting through this. It's his language is sort of pointing to a midway point in this. And so we need to get through this. We need to finish this. And so Hebrews chapter 12, I'm going to open some things up in your spirit that's going to help get you through this pandemic. It's going to help bring life where you feel like life is gone. I know there's so many worship songs you've listened to, so many Bible passages you've read. You looked at so much, it's sort of cross-eyed, where do I start now? I finished that book. You finally got that book finished. You've done enough devotions, you're old pro at it now. You become it's funny, you become a veteran in a month. And some of us, it's taken years. Stick with it. Don't give up on it. But anyway, here's what Hebrews 12 is offering us in terms of the answer to coronavirus fatigue. So when you connect with a friend of yours, and this is for, I want this message really to really resonate with Siobhan Williams' good friend, Tamika, because there has to be a great fatigue going through all of the procedures and hospital visits and things that you're going through. So this is for you too. And this is for everybody who, maybe for you, it's not coronavirus fatigue, but maybe you've experienced a type of fatigue in your life that has really caused you just to be exhausted. In fact, you came into the pandemic exhausted. Maybe you were just fatigued with trying to do all the work to improve your marriage. You've been working like the dickens to try to improve your financial standing, and you just was fatigued. We've underestimated that some people have come into this pandemic fatigued. You were already short fused when you got in this. And so not only then did you come into this pandemic with the load that you were carrying from life, you now have to bear the other end of the yoke. That you have to balance the other end of the yoke that now is this coronavirus, this COVID-19. So not only you battle the weight of what you were dealing with before you came in, but now you got to deal with all of this weight from this pandemic. One of these will pass. The other one, may follow you out. If you had a chance, I get on and I pray every afternoon, Facebook Live, noon. It's an afternoon prayer. You got to check out the one that the Lord inspired today. It was a powerful intercession. You gotta, when you get off, look at that, listen to that prayer. It's a powerful intercession. God using that moment to lift us. And so, yeah, you may have been fatigued coming in. And so you was fatigued coming in, and then adding the pandemic is fatigue, and you're limited to where you could go to relax, relate, release. So you got all of that. You're dealing with all of that at the same time. So there's a fatigue. So maybe this pandemic has not made you fatigued, but maybe stuff in life has made you fatigued. Can I just, I'm just talking to you. I'm having a conversation with you. You've just been fatigued with things in life, and up until this moment, you've not had anybody to talk to about it. You've not been able to see a counselor because you've had to work and you couldn't take time off. In some days, our pastoral counselor, our leader, Pastor Annette Hyman, is going to be producing some fruit to help encourage us, mental health wise. Maybe you hadn't had the access to do that. It's just a fatigue. Let's just be honest. Man, we get tired. All of us get tired. Come on. And I'm not just talking about physical tired. I'm talking about sometimes you just get tired of sometimes doing the work in the relationship. You just get tired of pulling the weight and seem like you're pulling the weight by yourself. There's a reason why Paul once uttered, do not be unequally yoked, because he understands that when you're unequally yoked, it's tiring when you're pulling all the weight. Or you're carrying the majority of the weight in the relationship. It gets tiring when you're doing all the work in the company and it seems like everybody else is just sitting and chilling. at the end of the day, we have to remember to look to the hills from where our help comes from. And the Lord has given us a word to bring us through this time of fatigue that we may experience. And maybe, just maybe, you're not feeling fatigue now, but you'll feel fatigue one day. And I want you to refer back to Hebrews chapter 12 and use this as a launch pin to get you through your fatigue. There are church leaders who felt fatigued coming into this pandemic. Ministry can be tiring. Sheep can be tiring. They felt fatigued. So there's a number of things that can cause you fatigue. And just, sometimes you just feel like you want to have a mental meltdown. You just want to holler, scream, cry, fuss. And if I would be honest, and Tisha, they would appreciate that, cuss too. I know. This virtual community is where you can nod your head and nobody judge you, especially on Facebook Live. I can't see you. So go ahead and nod your head because you cussed. I know you know Jesus, but you know some other stuff too. Don't lie. Fatigue, make you cuss, make you want to holler. Come on, Letitia, they know. Just make you want to just run around. I've seen people have shown me some videos where folks have done some crazy stuff. And, sometimes life will lead you to do that. And we look and we have laugh, but sometimes laughing at somebody else is a distraction from what you must be experiencing. So how are we going to deal with this fatigue? How are we going to deal with this? Hebrews 12 gives us some meat for dealing with this fatigue. And so I'm going to get through, and so I invite you to read all. I want you to read all of Hebrews chapter 12 for its context. I like to properly exegete a text, not eisegete. The difference between the two is exegete, I'm going to extract exactly what it says. Eisegete is putting something in it. It's misappropriating the text to make it say something that it ain't never said. So I'm going to exegete this thing. I'm going to exegete these few verses because that's what I do. I'm able to still find juice in a piece of fruit you've already squeezed. I can still find juice in it. You take a lemon and you squeeze it, I can come behind you and still find enough juice in that lemon you squeezed. You take an orange and make yourself orange juice, I can come behind and take that same orange and still squeeze enough juice out of it to quench my own thirst. I just want y'all to know. I ain't gonna play with you tonight. I'm gonna lay it out there. I can for a plum that for a plum that you'll squeeze and have no more use for, I see it as a raisin and I can put it in oatmeal or in my cereal. So listen, can I just encourage you? All we need is just a crumb tonight. That's what the Syrophoenician woman said to Jesus. Just give me a crumb. That's all I need. I just need a little crumb. So I'm going to give you a little crumb. Hopefully you'll stick with me on the journey and come back and get the rest of it. But listen to Hebrews 12. I've talked a lot. That's because I feel like I'm feeling myself tonight because this is going to be a good word. This is going to be a good word. And I have to remember this too, that, I'm doing this. And I have to remember other people will watch that. And if they come to this video and I got all this introduction, they ain't going to want to hear it. So hopefully they'll stay up until this point and get the meat. So I wish I could edit Facebook Live, but one of these days I'll figure it out. Selton, that's your job. Help me figure out how to edit the thing. That's your job, son. Okay, here's Hebrews chapter 12. Are you ready? First verse. Stay with me. First verse. Therefore, right? Somebody hit me with therefore. Just hear me so I know you're listening. Therefore. That's how it starts. Starts therefore. Okay? It's very important. Therefore. Now, you know why that's important? Everybody hit me on Facebook. Y'all hit me up with the word therefore. Hey, Pastor Will, glad you're on, man. Good to see you. The therefore. Let me tell you why the therefore is important. Because the therefore is chained to the chapter that came before that. So he says therefore. So therefore is like the word that summarizes what you would have just read. So after you read what came before, then he summarizes with therefore. So the therefore is the key. So if you start off in a passage where it starts off, if it starts off with therefore, stop what you're doing and go back and read what preceded it. Because what came before it, it'll be very interesting. Be very, very interesting. I'm getting therefore. I love this, right? It'd be very, very interesting. So if you do the therefore, go back and read what came before the therefore, because he just summarized. You want to know what he was summarizing to reach the therefore, because he's finna set you up what comes afterwards. So what's nice, what's awesome about Hebrews, the therefore, what comes before the therefore in chapter 11 is what they call the hero's hall of faith. Not fame, F-A-M-E, because they didn't do it for fame. They did it by faith. So Hebrews chapter 11 is the hero's hall of faith, not the hall of fame. Hall of fame is where you put somebody on display and list. Like you go to the Football Hall of Fame, you got the bust of the particular athlete, and then you got all of his accomplishments listed. The folks in chapter 11 would have never wanted to be in the Hall of Fame because they would have never wanted to have happen to them what ended up happening to them. Chapter 11 wasn't because they were trying to draw attention. Chapter 11 was because they were trying to survive. They were trying to live every day. And they found the way that I live through what I'm facing is by faith, not by fame. I won't get it trying to draw attention to myself, but I will get it resting on what I know about my Heavenly Father. So chapter 11 is the hero's hall of faith, F-A-I-T-H. And somebody once described faith as forsaking all, I trust him. Thank you, Donna, for coming on. Hey, Aunt Deacon Angela, there it is. Hey, Alma. Yeah, faith. So it's the hero's hall of faith. And you know, chapter 11 is where we get that one of the most famous verses, one of the most often quoted verses. Verse 1 and verse 6 are two of the most often quoted verses in all of the Bible. There's a lot of them, but verse 1 is, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, evidence of things not seen. Verse 6 is, for without faith it's impossible to please him. They that come to him must believe that he is, and that he's a rewarder of them who diligently seek him. So let's just take those two verses, because then it lists the names of people who went through by faith. Abraham and Enoch and Moses and all of them. Let's just take verse 1. Let's take verse 1 and 6. Now watch this. Watch how this works. Watch this now. Verse 1 of chapter 11 says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen. Therefore, there, see the setup? Therefore, see what happened? If faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen, therefore, since we are surrounded. See that? Take verse 6. Faith, listen, without faith, it's impossible to please God. They that come to him must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. Therefore, since we are surrounded. You see how it's connected? That you see, when you go back to chapter 11 and look at everything's listed, that all is the summation of therefore. Therefore, with all of what you just read in chapter 11, therefore, you are surrounded by. So essentially, Paul says chapter 11 is your witness. It's your witness. What chapter 11 is saying is that it is your witness that you can make it through whatever you're going through. When you read what everybody experienced in chapter 11. So listen, come on, somebody. That's the reason why you can't let coronavirus fatigue get the best of you, because unless what you're experiencing right now is equal to what's in chapter 11, you don't have no excuse. Oh my goodness. I hope I ain't even got into it, but I hope you're hearing what I'm saying. Okay, so if you go back to chapter 11, just read the last verses of chapter 11. So remember, verse 1 says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for. Therefore, verse 6 says, without faith it's impossible to please God. Just look at the end of chapter 11. At the 30, let's start at verse 30. Okay, so you got the patriarchs, Abraham in there, and Isaac and Jacob in there, and Moses in there, and all that. But just look at verse 30. Look at verse 30. By faith, the walls of Jericho fell down after they were encircled for 7 days. By faith. This is what he said. The walls of Jericho, here you're thinking the walls fell down because they made a lot of noise. No, the walls fell down because faith was enacted. By faith. Then it says, by faith, watch this. Look at verse 31. Somebody ought to holler at this one. Come on, Desiree. By faith, the harlot Rahab did not perish. They listen, Hebrews gave Rahab faith. Come on here. Y'all would still see her as the prostitute, but Hebrews saw her as one who was faithful. Come on here. Faith don't know, listen, she exemplified the kind of faith that got salvation to her house. Y'all would have still saw her as a prostitute, but God saw faith. By faith. Let me tell you what, her faith got her mentioned in Hebrews. Come on, somebody. Some of y'all wouldn't invite her to your house, but her faith got her in the book of Hebrews. And every generation, guess whose name is mentioned in the book of Hebrews? Rahab. Rahab's name is mentioned in the book of Hebrews. Every time I read a book, Rahab's name is. By faith, the harlot Rahab did not perish with those who did not believe when she had received the spies with peace. And what more shall I say? For the time would fail me to tell of Gideon, Barak, Samson, Japheth, those are all the judges, David, Samuel, and then it says, and the prophets, who through what? Faith, subdued kingdoms, worked righteousness, obtained promises, stopped the mouth of the lion, quenched the violence of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, out of weakness were made strong, became valiant in battle, turned to flight the armies of the aliens. Women received their dead, raised to life again. Others were tortured, not accepting deliverance that they might attain a better resurrection. Still others had trials of mockings and scourgings, and yes, chains and imprisonments. They were stoned, they were sawn in half. They were tempted, they were slain with the sword, they wandered about in sheepskin, goatskin, being destitute, afflicted, and tormented, of whom the world is not worthy. I just read all that to let you know you're in a pandemic. So what I'm saying is, you're in this pandemic. Oh, I just my feed fell on. Okay, I'm gonna start it again and I'll piece it together. Okay. Everybody has to get back on. So anyway, so I don't know what happened, Facebook family, but it kind of fell off. And I'm fully charged, so I don't know what happened. Somebody didn't want this message to get out. They might be eavesdropping, but that's okay. Listen again, because I'm still gonna give you some more. Look what happened. Look what happened. All of that happened by faith. So you see what happens when we get to chapter 12? Therefore, see what happened? Therefore, what happened? They were stoned, they were sawn in two, they were left destitute, goat skins, afflicted and tormented. So listen at chapter 11. All chapter 11 is saying is this: if what you're going through right now don't match what they experienced in chapter 11, you can get through this pandemic. That's what he's saying. So if you're not facing a saw, if you're not facing rocks, if you're not being destitute, you're not being tortured. I know it feels like torture because you in your house, but you're not being tortured. If you're not experiencing any of this, you good. You're gonna be all right. Okay? Therefore, so now he gets, after all of that you read, so I want to suggest to you that not only you read chapter 12, you read chapter 11. In fact, you read both of them together. Read 11 and 12 together. Read them together. It gives perspective. It really gives perspective. So read both of them together. So now you understand the therefore. Now you understand how powerful the therefore is. Now you understand how meaningful the therefore is. Because considering everything, if you start at verse 30 and read all the way down, all of that happened. Listen to what he says. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses. What did you say? So what he says, everything in chapter 11 is a witness. Everything in chapter 11 is a witness. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? Everything in chapter 11 is a witness. It's your witness. If you want to know, and thank you for coming back on. I don't know what happened. Technology is good when it works, but thank you guys for coming back on this Facebook live feed. But here's the thing. If you want to know whether or not you can make it, chapter 11 is your witness. There are witnesses in chapter 11 producing evidence that you can get through this pandemic. Chapter 11. He says, so since we are surrounded, and by the way, that word witness in the Greek, which the New Testament is originally written in, that word witness means martyr. So watch this. It just makes sense. When you understand the word witness as martyr, it makes sense going back and reading what we just read in the latter portion of chapter 11, because a lot of people lost their lives. So listen, since we're surrounded by so many martyrs, that is people who lost their life defending their faith, since we are surrounded by such a cloud of martyrs, listen to what he says, let us therefore, come on here. Are you with me so far? Everybody's coming back on. Come on back on Facebook Live. Do the watch parties. I don't know what happened. It just dropped. Thank you, Wanda. Good to see you back on. Hey, Dominique, we just getting back on. We just dropped, but y'all coming back. Because y'all don't need to miss this. He says, since we are surrounded by such a cloud, look what he says, a cloud of witnesses. So let me just tell you this. You need to know this. You're surrounded. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So this is what he says. You're surrounded by witness. So if you're struggling with getting through this pandemic, look at who surrounds you. That's a testimony. Look who surrounds you. Look, watch this. Look who God, oh my God, I'm feeling this already and I'm just getting started. Look whom God has surrounded you with to get you through this pandemic. Look who he surrounded you by. He says, since we are surrounded, who am I surrounded? Who are these witnesses that surround me? Come on here. Sometimes you gotta work this thing out. Who are these witnesses that are surrounding me? Abraham, Moses, Isaac, Jacob, Rahab. I got witnesses around people who didn't receive their loved ones back to life. Those who were destitute, stoned. Those who are walking around in goatskin. Those who are facing the saw. Those are my witnesses. They are listen, and watch this. Oh my goodness, watch this. And you know what? Listen to me. Three of y'all need to get this. They're the evidence that faith works. Oh my God. Are you hearing? They're the evidence that faith works. And they're the evidence that even if in this life I don't see what I need to see, I give it up in exchange for a better resurrection. That's what he says. That there were some folks who said, I don't even consider my life in this life to hold on to what I'm facing because there is a better resurrection. That's what you got to see that in chapter 11. Faith works, folks. Faith works. It worked for Abraham. It worked for Enoch. It worked for Moses. It worked for Isaac. It worked for Jacob. It worked. Faith works. So he says, since we are surrounded, somebody say surrounded. Yeah, we're surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses. So he said, with all that witness around you, what should you be doing? This is what he says. This is what you are now able to do with the presence of all those witnesses. He says, let us throw off everything. The King James says, let us throw off the weight. Translation says, let us throw off the weight. NIV says, throw off everything that hinders. Let's throw it off. Now watch this. King James says, let's throw off the weight. So this is what he says. When you got the kind of, watch this. When you, oh my God, help me get somebody. When you're keeping company with the kind of folks that came before you, you need to find this. It is your strength to throw the weight off that's on you. Elder Wayne, it's just going to be me and you because the rest of them, they blind-eyed. Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what he says. When you're surrounded by the evidence of faith like that, their faith becomes your fuel to throw the weight off. Listen to what he says. And it's interesting because so the weight, King James, is the same word which means hinders. So what he says is, whatever is hindering you in this pandemic, there's been enough faith surrounding you for you to throw it off. It's almost, let's watch this, Pastor Mia. it's almost as if they are saying to you, you can do this. If I can do it, you can do it. Watch what they're saying. Consider what I endured. And if I can throw it off, what I endured, you can throw it off too. Listen, I need to tell somebody tonight, Abraham's talking to you, Isaac is talking to you, Jacob is talking to you, Japheth is talking to you, those who marched around Jericho are talking to you, Rahab is talking to you, Hebrews 1 is talking, 11:1 is talking, Hebrews 11:6 is talking to you, Noah is talking to you. All these folks are talking to you tonight, and what are they saying? You can throw that weight off. You can, the weight, it's a Greek word which means, watch this, it's a Greek word which means a bulging load. Woo, Lord, holla, a bulging load. That's the way, it's a bulging load. So if you came into this pandemic with a bulging load, he says, by virtue of the witnesses, they are your strength to throw the load off. I need about 5 of y'all just to reach out and throw that load off. You don't, listen, this word tonight gives you permission to throw that load off your back. Get that callus that's formed in the base of your neck, trying to carry that load. Listen, I need to holler right here because it's in my spirit. You just got permission by the Spirit to throw the weight of some relationships off that's been hanging around your neck. I hear the Lord say, you've been carrying a bulge of worry. Throw it off. You've been carrying him and you've been carrying her, and you don't need to carry them no more. Throw them off. Get them up off your neck. Get them up off the base of your shoulders. Oh, somebody gonna sleep good tonight. You're gonna sleep good tonight. Because this is what he says. He says, since we are surrounded, not if we are surrounded, not a possibility, but since you got a crowd surrounding you, go ahead and throw it off. Come on. Go ahead and throw off the weight. Throw it off. This is throw the weight of what this pandemic is trying to saddle you with. Throw it off. Throw the weight of all of this waiting. Throw the weight of all this uncertainty. Throw the weight of all of the concerns that you might have. Throw the weight of, are my children going to be able to pick up where they left off in school? Are they going to throw the weight of that off? Because you got witnesses who are telling you, we face some stuff much worse than what you're facing. And if we can throw it off, you can throw the weight off. Come on now. Look what he said in the verse 30. Women received their dead, raised to life again. Others were tortured, accepting deliverance that they might obtain not accepting deliverance that they might obtain a better resurrection. Still others had trial of mockings and scourgings and chains and imprisonments and stoning and being sawn in half and being tempted and being slain by the sword and the sheepskin and goatskin and destitute, afflicted and tormented. But we still by faith were able to throw it off. I'm just asking somebody, please activate your faith and throw that weight off your neck. Throw it off. I can't see you on Facebook Live, but I can definitely see them here on Zoom. I just need y'all to just like shake the shoulders and like, let that thing just fall off. Throw it off. He says, I can, listen, the King James says, lay it aside. It don't do it justice. The right translation is not lay it aside. Listen, 3 of y'all need to do this. Laying it aside. If you got a weight, if you got a bulging load, if you picked up something that was really heavy and you had to carry it a certain distance, what do you do when that load gets heavy as you're approaching the place where you're trying to get to with the heavy object? When you get there, do you just lay it down? No, you let that thing fall, boom, because of how heavy that was. Because it's either hurt you or you let hurt it. And some of you are too cute with your weight. Some of you have gotten so accustomed to carrying your weight that you've decorated it. Some of you don't put makeup on your weight. You done dressed it up with earrings. You done put a wig on it. You done went to TJ Maxx and Marshalls, and you done found clothes for your weight. You done grown accustomed to your weight. You watch TV with your Lord have mercy, I'm about to meddle. Rein it in, Bishop, rein it in. Wanda, you better pray for me. Teresa, pray for me. Rein it in. Because I know where I can go with this. That weight, y'all done dressed that weight up. Got comfortable with it. You got comfortable being bent over. God designed for you to sit up and walk straight, but you bent over with that weight. And some of you are carrying that weight because you like the attention that you get because of that weight. You like it when people feel sorry. You like it when people come to you and people like, hey, Benita, you like it when people just come and they just, oh, that weight must be really heavy. Well, you know you ain't getting no love because they ain't offered to help you share it. Some of y'all need to throw that weight off. Listen, don't lay it aside, throw it off. Throw that weight. And listen, the translation says, watch this, throw off everything that hinders you. Throw off everything that hinders you. And then he says, watch this, he said not only throw off the weight, he said, but also and the sin. Oh my God, come on. Teacher, teach us. He says not only, listen, we got witnesses. Chapter 11 is our witness. Next time you in church say, can I get a witness? Go to chapter 11, pick any one of them your witnesses. Can I get a witness? Abraham said, I'll witness, I'll testify. Japheth said, I'll testify. Samson said, I'll testify. Huh? You get a witness right there. Chapter 11 are your witnesses. He says, throw off every weight and the sin. Now notice, and the sin that so easily besets you. Okay? So watch. Listen, I know this is a word from the Lord. If you're going to get through this pandemic, you're going to have to throw off the weight and you're going to have to throw off the sin. The weight is what hinders you. Throw off anything that is hindering you. Throw it off. And then the sin, he says, and. So get this, it's not either or, it's and in both. So you don't get to choose between weight and sin. You got to get rid of the weight and the sin. Thank you, Teresa. And the sin. And it's interesting to note about this issue of sin. In the Hebrew, in ancient Israel, sin meant to make a mistake or to neglect one's obligation. From a Hebrew perspective, it means a blemish. It's a blemish rather than a human error. It's a blemish. And so this is what it says. According to the word, a sinful error can be corrected, and it can be corrected by this, by improving my relationship with God and seeking his forgiveness and improving my behavior moving forward. So all of Hebrews chapter 12, at least in these early parts, has to do with behavior. If I'm going to get through this pandemic, you're going to have to change your behavior. Some of you have come into this pandemic with the same behavior you had before the pandemic. Yeah, and you're wondering why you're struggling. Because you can't juggle what you were struggling with when you came in and trying to struggle a pandemic too. You can't. So release it. Let it go. Throw off the weight and the sin. And this is what he says about the sin. Now watch this. He says the sin that so easily. Ooh, Lord have mercy. So we got two E's, everything and easily. He says, throw off everything that hinders you and the sin that so easily besets. The King James word is beset. The more modern contemporary English word is entangle. So he says, I need you to throw off every weight or every hindrance and the sin that so easily besets or entangles you. Entangles. That so easily entangles. He says that the blemish, the human error the thing that causes you to neglect your obligation to God, if there's a thing that's preventing you from maintaining your obligation with God, he says you need to throw it off. That's you see the difference? Sometimes we make it about the sin. And so we point people to the sin and make it about the sin. But Paul is not making it about the sin. The idea of sin is about your obligation to God. And so the proper way to frame it is not God gonna get you because you're messing up. The proper way to frame it is, what's keeping you from your obligation with God? You and I have an obligation with God. You have an obligation to him when you consider all that he has brought you through thus far. You have an obligation. So what's keeping you from meeting your obligation with God? If your obligation is to meet him in the morning, what's happening at night that's keeping you from making that obligation to meet him in the morning? Come on here. Come on. I know you ain't got to tell me. I know I'm teaching. This is the word of God, folks. You have an obligation. What's keeping you from meeting that obligation with him? You have an obligation to praise him. So what's your hindrance that you can't meet your obligation of praise? What's keeping you from meeting your obligation? What's getting in the way from you meeting your obligation to worship him? You already know that a worship is not an option, it's a command. So what's keeping you from meeting an obligation? See, we get it twisted in the church and we make it so about the sin that we spend time trying to tell people to focus on stop doing wrong, that you miss the point. If it's all about me not doing wrong, then where's my incentive? But if my incentive is meeting my obligation with a God who has done so much for me, then there is my incentive to find a way to correct whatever is going on in my life so I can meet my obligation with him. I have an obligation with God. So what do I need to do? Watch this. Isn't this better? I want y'all to receive this. Isn't it better to look at what adjustments I need to make in order to meet my obligation with God? And wouldn't you then by default correct an improper behavior? Come on here. Wouldn't I by default shut some stuff down if it interfered with my obligation with God? See, you're pointing to the sin when we should be actually pointing people to the obligation they have with God. I have an obligation to him when I consider what he has done for me, what he has brought me through, what he's raised me up out of, what he has graced me with, what he's loved upon me. I have an obligation. So listen, you ought to, right now, listen, sometimes you ought to tell somebody, I got to go. Why you got to go? Because I got an obligation to keep. I can't stay up with you every night because then it will interfere with my obligation to meet with my Heavenly Father. I can't watch all night. I can't binge watch Empire with you all night because I got an obligation to keep. That just some stuff that just some place I can't go. Listen, you ought to be able to say, I can't go there with you. I can't go there with you because I got an obligation to my God to keep my mind stayed on him. Come on. Come on. This fresh teaching tonight. This is how we get through the pandemic. You get through the pandemic by realizing that I have an obligation to give to God what is due him. So I can't let this pandemic interfere with my obligation with God. Come on here. Are y'all hearing what I'm telling you? I can't let drama interfere with my obligation. I can't let the problem you have with me interfere with my obligation with God. It's an obligation. I have an obligation to him. So he says, I need to lay aside the weight. That is that bulging load. I need to throw it off. And the sin that so easily entangles. Here's the view of that the writer in Hebrews had. In the Olympic Games, in the sporting events back then, a athlete, particularly a runner, because this is what's envisioned here, particularly a runner, see, they didn't wear pants in that first century. They didn't wear pants. They wore long robes. Jesus wore robes. They wore robes. They didn't wear pants. They wore robes, tunics. So can you imagine? And their tunics, and some of those tunics had intricate detail of tassels at the bottom. Because that's what men wore. That's what women wore. They wore robes and tunics and outer coats. That's what they wore. So can you imagine as a runner wearing a long robe in a 100-yard dash? What's going to happen if you go to line up in a 100-yard dash with a robe on? Tell me, come on, y'all. Y'all know, get your sanctified imagination going. What's going to happen if you're in a long robe and you line up for a 100-yard dash? What's going to happen if you're in a 100, come on, somebody, y'all got it. You're going to trip. You're going to fall. You're going to be, what's that robe going to do? It's going to entangle you. And he says, consider that you not meeting your obligation with God, an entanglement that's going to trip you up. So the writer in Hebrews says, whatever will cause you to become tripped up, you need to lay it aside. Come on, I know I'm helping somebody here. Load is already light. I know it. You ain't got to tell me. You can holler at me. Can't run if the robe is around your ankles. It'll trip you up. How far you gonna go? And there's some stuff that's been tripping you up. You're gonna go down. That's it, Miss. That's where you're gonna go down. Bruised knees, hurt elbows, and bruised egos. And some of us have limped into this pandemic, having tried to run, missing our obligation with God. So he says, you need to lay it aside. And beset means that easily entangles. That is readily, cleverly, and in fact, think about this picture. Think about this picture of beset. Y'all gonna love this. I know y'all gonna love this. Think about the word beset, King James word beset, easily entangled. Think about this image of what this means. Imagine you're at a race. Your job is to run a 100-yard dash, right? So your job, you're an athlete. You've been conditioning, you've been working out, and you have been working for this moment to get on that track and to put in your best. And you didn't come to be second, you didn't come to be third, you came to win. And can you imagine that when you line up in the block and the starter fires the gun and you take off running, and then watch this, and somebody out of the stands comes out of the stands onto the track and harasses you while you're trying to run the race. He's harassing you, trying to impede your ability to finish what you started. Getting in your face, getting in your ear. They start on the left, they start on the right, and they're coming after you. And the writer in Hebrews is saying, that's what you're missing your obligation with God. Anything that is getting in your face, trying to keep you from your meeting with God, is your sin. Come on here. Are you hear what I'm saying? Something came out of the stands to harass you, to keep you from meeting your obligation with God. It's been harassing you, getting up in your face, getting up in your ear. God won't miss you. You okay? Making you believe that what that is more important than meeting your obligation with God. And it's harass, and eventually it causes you to trip. It trips you up. People tell you, no, you ain't got to do that. You ain't got to listen to that bishop. You ain't got to listen to God. God ain't gonna miss nothing. Well, listen, God will forgive you. God knows your heart. Just trip you up. And listen, and here's what he says. Given the crowd of witnesses around you, you need to lay that aside. He says, lay it aside every weight. Y'all hear that? You hear that? You need to lay aside the weight, that is the bulging load, and the sin, that is the blemish, the human error. Lay it aside. And what he's saying, lay it aside, what's the difference? That was keeping you from meeting your obligation with God. You need to lay it aside. And then he says, and then watch this. Listen to me. And until you get rid of the weight and the sin, you can't run. It is only after you do that then he says, let us run the race. He don't get, y'all trying to run with a heavy load and somebody up in your face trying to keep you from meeting your obligation. That's why you ain't making it to that's why you can't get to your destination. How you gonna get to your destination with somebody up in your face? Yeah, and listen, and by the way, let's keep it 100. It ain't always the devil up in your face, because some of y'all ain't doing enough for the devil to even take time to come mess with you. Come on, I just offend two of them just dropped off. If y'all saw somebody just dropped off Facebook Live, y'all know what I'm talking about. Yeah, y'all think the devil, you think that your life is such that he coming from wherever he's coming from to mess with you. No, he not. Some of your drama is you. And you got some stuff up in your face trying to harass you, trying to keep you from meeting your obligation. And here's what Hebrews chapter 12 is inferring. You know what Hebrews chapter 12 is inferring? That you're the one who must make a decision to throw it off. Come on here. Some of y'all waiting for somebody to come and take it off you. Hebrews 12 said, if it's going to get off you, you're going to have to throw it off. So you're going to have to say no. Come on, Lord, have mercy. You're going to have to say no. You're going to have to shut it down. You're going to have to close the door on it. You're going to have to shut the window. You're going to have, listen, you're going to have to turn the meter off. You're going to have to turn the TV off. You're going to have to shut the, you're going to have to close, you're going to have to do it. Hebrews 12 is saying it's a weight you got to throw aside, and it's a sin you got to walk away from. This has got to be a you thing. Okay, I'm sorry. Did I get up in your face? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's just the D personalities I'm talking to. You S's that are more tender-headed, I'm sorry. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. You know how your mama said, be still, you're tender-headed? Some of you are tender-headed right now. You know, this thing making your head hurt. That's okay. It's okay. It's all right. The grease is coming later. Hear what he said? He says, now, once the weight is gone and you done threw the sin off, then he says, let us then. Let us do what? Let us run the race with perseverance, the race marked out for us. Now, watch this. He says, let us run the race with perseverance. Now, I got a chance at winning. You know why I got a chance at winning? Because I ain't got no weight slowing me down. I don't have anything hindering me now. Now I have a chance at winning. Now I have a chance at completing the race. Now I have a chance at finishing because I done threw some stuff off. And until you determine to get that weight off around you and get rid of the thing that is hindering your obligation with God, you ain't got a chance to finish this. Because listen, you think that being in this pandemic is your issue. No, we got greater things we're going to have to tackle after this pandemic. A lot of things emotional. A lot of things that we might have to deal with physically. There's stuff that we still have to do. There are people who had to put elective surgeries on hold during this pandemic so they can give way to treating some of the COVID issues. So there's some people that's going to have to deal with those elective surgeries after the pandemic. Just some stuff is just on pause that you're going to need energy for to finish after the pandemic. That's why I'm coming on here to tell you that you can offload the weight that has been hindering you and go and exercise yourself for the journey that is after pandemic. Yes, indeed. Come on, let's finish. Come on now. Here's another translation for this. When it says, the Latin Vulgate says, when it says the sin that so easily beset us, it says the sin that's standing around us. You got stuff that's standing around you that's harassing you, and you need to shut it down. And listen, and it may not be a person. Can I say this to you? It might be some stuff you need to get out of your house that is an ever continual presence and reminder of your temptation to slip. There's some, if there might be some stuff you need to move out of view or out of your house that's keeping you from meeting your obligation with God. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm saying. I ain't trying to get in nobody's business, but if Hennessy is keeping you from meeting your obligation with the Lord, you might need to let him go. I'm just saying. I'm only saying I'm only saying I know a person. I know their first and last name. You know what their first name is? You ready? You ready? Watch this, Robert. Their first name is Crown. Their last name is Royal. If Crown Royal is keeping you from meeting your obligation with the Father, you might need to say, keep the bag that it comes in and get rid of the bottle. Use the bag to collect change. That's what my grandfather used to do. He used to save all his change in them Crown. He used to have a bunch of Crown Royal bags filled with change. You might need to tell Crown Royal, bye. Bye, Felicia. Give it a name. Bye, Felicia. You need to, I'm only saying if Crown Royal is not allowing you to get up to keep your obligation with God, Crown and Royal need to go. Mr. Crown Royal need to go. I know another, what I think her name is Bacardi Rum. I think her name is Bacardi, last name. You might need to tell her goodbye. Come on, you might need to tell Bacardi Rum goodbye. Bye, Mr. Bacardi Rum. There's some stuff you might need to move out your house that, watch this, that's so easily entangling you. Come, am I keeping this real tonight? Yes, indeed. You ain't tuning in for no. I'm not giving you no false hope. I'm giving you I need you to make it through this pandemic. So yeah, so after this is over, I give you permission to look around your house and spot the thing that's been tangling you, that's been tripping you up, and put it in a recycle bin. Set it on the curb. My neighborhood trash day is tomorrow. Goodbye. Go. Okay. Some of you young folks that are on this, in your contacts, you got a sin that so easily besets you. Ooh. Oh, I'm meddling. Yes, I am. I'm glad about it. I ain't got no shame. I'm a prophet of the Lord. You got something in your contact. They text you before you came on. That's why you were late getting on, because it so easily entangled you. There's some folks you need to unfriend because they so easily entangled you, and you know it to be true. You can't even get your mind right on God. You can't even meet your obligation with God because they so easily entangle you. And then some people that you have in your life bring stuff and add to the weight that's on your neck. So you might need to during this pandemic clean up your contacts, your social media connections, because they might be the sin that so easily entangle you. Some of you need to, some of that stuff you've been watching on YouTube, them YouTube prophets, that's easily entangling you. That's why you don't even hear God. Anyway. Verse 2. We in verse 2. I told you I was going to exegete this tonight. I'm going to exegete the life out of this verse. I just spent the last 30 minutes on verse 1. I'm a good preacher. That's a good preacher right there. That's good preaching. Come on here. Verse 2. Verse 2. Ain't that right, Pam? Thank you, Pam. Pam Pedarva, she with me. Look at verse 2. Keeping your eyes on Jesus, who is the author and finisher of our faith. Right? He's the author and finisher of our faith. So here's what it says. While we're in this pandemic, keep your eyes on Jesus. Now, you don't have to be a true Jesus follower to not to listen. You ain't got to be all the way in church. You could be struggling with this Jesus person. But I'm going to tell you this. When somebody has a track record at finishing, I don't care what your denomination is. He's worth putting your eyes on. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Look. The team that won the Super Bowl back this year may not have been your team, but you can appreciate the fact that they're champions. Right? You can appreciate a man who puts all his energy in and he's a winner. You may not like Tom Brady. You might not like him. I don't like Tom Brady. I don't like him. You might not like him, but you got to respect him because he's a champion. And while I may not like him, I am going to watch what he do because what he does makes him a winner. You may not can get with Jesus, but I'm going to tell you, he's an author and finisher. That is, he don't never start something he don't complete it. So even if you ain't a Jesus follower, he is somebody you can follow because he can finish what he started. You might not give your life to him, but you at least, listen, in this pandemic, you ought to put your eye on him because he's the author. And watch this, Selton. Author means he's the chief leader. That's what author means. He's the chief leader. So he's the chief leader. He's the author. And then get this, he's the finisher of our faith. He's the chief leader and he's the finisher of our faith. So put your eyes on Jesus. Listen, I don't know if you and Jesus are on good terms right now, but he is worth following in this pandemic. He is somebody worth, and when it says keep your eyes on Jesus, it means fix your gaze on him. It's like it's like in a marathon or with the 300 meter or the 800 meter. What do you see in an 800 meter? You see them all grouped together. And what are you doing? You're keeping your eye on the one that's in the front. You're fixated on the one on the front because you're watching what he's doing. Hebrews12 is about a race. And what he's saying is, keep your eye on the one that's out in front. And if he's the author, which is the chief leader, Jesus is out in front. And he's leading. Watch this. Here's what he's trying to tell you. Watch how he handles adversity. Watch how he handles crisis. Watch how he handles pandemics. Watch how he handles a struggle. Watch how keep your eye on him and watch. Listen, even if you don't want to call on him as Savior, watch how he handles difficult times. Because if you can get your eye on him and watch what he does, you can get through this too. Lord have mercy. Who is the author and finisher of our faith? Watch this. For the joy set before him, he endured. Y'all see that? He endured the cross. He endured. This is powerful. This is powerful because that endured means that he stayed up under. When it said that he endured, he stayed up under. So for the joy, listen, watch this. For the joy that was set before him, he endured the cross. He understood the weight of the cross and he refused to sidestep it. He stayed up under it because he saw what the outcome was going to be. Lord have, I just helped 5 of y'all. Here's what Hebrews is saying. Listen, listen what Hebrews is telling us, folks. Hebrews is telling you, look beyond the pandemic. Don't focus on what you're going through in it. Look beyond and allow that to be your motivation to handle up under what we're facing. Stay up under this. Don't check out, don't zone out, don't quit, don't throw in out. Stay up under this, stay in order that we have been placed because we know on the other side the release we're going to have. That's what he's saying. Stay up under it. And he endured this. Watch this. Watch this. He endured, watch this, for consider, verse 3. Watch this. For consider, now watch, because he knew that he was nailed to the cross. This is what one translation said. That he endured the cross, scorning its shame, verse 2, and sat down on the right-hand side of the throne of God. You know why Jesus kept going? Because watch this. Are y'all ready? You know why he kept going? Because he saw being seated at the right-hand side of God as the finish. Well, you know what y'all need to do? Y'all need to get a finish in mind. Because if you can get a finish in mind, you can get through this pandemic. The reason why people are feeling some sense of coronavirus fatigue, because they don't know when it's going to be over. But those of us who know to look beyond where we're in, guess what? For the joy that's set before us, we're going to endure this because we know what's on the other end of the pandemic. My freedom is going to be restored. My life is going to be restored. Restrictions are going to be lifted. My life is not going to be the same. And when I get out of this pandemic, whatever, watch this, and listen, 5 of y'all need to rejoice right here. You know why? Because whatever weight was on you when you came in, when you get out, the weight ain't going to be there. Are y'all hearing me here? Guess what? Verse 2 says that he's seated on the right-hand side of the Father. This is a shout right here. Here's a shout. He's seated on the right-hand side of the Father. Guess what he's minus? Guess what he's minus? The cross. He don't have the cross on his shoulders. He don't have the cross. He endured the cross because he knew that enduring the cross will get him to the place where he'll no longer have to bear the cross. I'm saying endure this because guess what? At some point, we ain't going to have no pandemic hanging on our necks. So you got to hang in there. You got to get through this. This pandemic is a temporary thing. And then verse 3 says, for consider. Consider is an accounting term, which means to reconcile the books. For consider, oh Lord, I'm running out of time. But look at verse 3. For consider him who endured, there's that word endured again. He stated, such hostility from sinners against him. So this is what he says. He says, consider him who endured. The him is Jesus. He endured. What did I tell you endured mean? Endured means stayed up under. He stayed up under the hostility from the sinners that was coming against him. He stayed up under. Listen, here's what I'm saying to a couple of you. Stay up under the stay in place order. I know it's an opposition. Hostility means opposition. I know that this stay in place opposes your desire to be free. I know it's opposition for you to want to be out there, to want to be at work, to want to know it. I know it's opposition against you needing to be in control. I know, but stay up under it, because staying up under it is going to lead you to the place where when you get out of this pandemic, you won't have no regrets. And watch what the end of verse 3 says. He endured the hostility. That is, he endured the opposition from sinners against himself, lest you. Now he says, considering what Jesus put up with, watch this, two things that Jesus endured. Now watch what he's saying. Tell me this don't make no sense. Tell me, I know this makes sense to you. Listen to what he says. Verse 1 says, you got a company of witnesses. Out of chapter 11, you heard what they went through, right? You read what they went through, right? And you're going to read it again, what they went through. Then watch what he switches to. Oh, Lord. Oh, my God. Listen when he switches. Then he takes your focus off what they went through in chapter 11 to get you to focus on what Jesus went through. You see how he's setting us up? He's setting us up to say, look at what all of them went through chapter 11. You got them as witnesses. And then you got Jesus who endured the cross and endured the hostility of sinners. And if he can endure what he endured, and they went through what they went through, you can't tell me tonight you cannot manage to handle what you're facing right now. Come on here. Thank you, Sharice. Are you hearing what I'm saying, Powell family? Deborah, are you getting this? I know the whites are getting this. Elder Turner getting it. I know they need. Here's what he's saying. If Abraham and Enoch and Jacob and Isaac and Samson and Rahab and all of them, if they can endure, and then he says, okay. Watch this. Yeah, I get it. They had to go through some stuff. But then he flipped it and said, and look at Jesus. He's the Son of God. Oh, he's the Son of the living God. And the Son of God, watch me now, the Son of God put himself under the weight of a cross and put himself under the weight of hostility from sinners. And if he can endure now listen, and nobody put it on Jesus, Jesus put it on himself. Now listen, if Jesus can handle what he put on himself for our benefit, surely you can handle a few more weeks of what Governor Hogan has put on you, what Governor Gavin Newsom has put on you in California. Surely you can handle what has been placed on you if Jesus can get through what he went through. And oh, by the way, Jesus is our example, so keep your eye on him because he left a pattern for how we can make it through this. Stay up under, stay at home, and get through this. Lord have mercy. I know Governor Hogan said he want to call me because he want me to talk to the state. Listen to what it says. They went through what they went through. Jesus went through, he went through. And if they went through all of that, listen to what he says. Lest you become weary and discouraged in your own soul. Consider what they did. Consider what they handled, lest you become weary and discouraged in your own soul. So if you feel like you want to give up, go read chapter 11. If you feel like you want to give up, fix your gaze on Jesus and see what he endured. He endured a cross and he endured hostility from sinners. And if he endured all of that, guess what, my folks? We can handle a pandemic. We can handle a little fatigue. We can handle a little shelter in place for a little while. We can handle being restricted from how many times we can go to the store and whether I can get out and go to work or my kids are at home or this and that. We can handle a little more of this. Because if you take what you're going through and put it up side by side with chapter 11, you know what you're going to do? You're going to take your little problem down. Come on, Benita. When you take what you're going through and put it side by side with what Jesus endured, and oh, by the way, he listed two things. Jesus endured the cross and he endured the hostility of the sinners. Take what you're going through and put it side by side and tell me whether or not it match. Yeah, you know what you're going to do? Take your little tail and tuck it and just go somewhere and sit down. Go somewhere and sit down. You can handle a few more weeks with your kids in your house with you. You didn't want to be dealing with your kids. You shouldn't have ever had them. Them your kids. Come on now. I'm just keeping it real. Whatever you dealing with, there is no match. But they have offered us what we need to get through this. It's called faith. Don't grow weary, and you ain't got no need to be discouraged. And then I want to end. I want to end with verse 4. I want to end with verse 4. I want to end with verse 4. No, wrong. I'm going to end with verse 4, expounding. And then I'm just going to read the final verses I want to read. But let me just end with verse 4. Guess what verse 4 in chapter 12 says? You struggle. Watch it. Let me read verse 3 with it, and then I'm going to add verse 4 to it. Okay. So here's verse 3 says, for consider him who endured such hostility from sinners against himself, lest you become weary and discouraged in your souls. Watch this. You struggle against sin. Oh, no, you have not yet. Watch this. You have not yet resisted the bloodshed, striving against sin. Okay, y'all hear that? Let me read it again. Watch this. Verse 3, for consider him who endured such hostility from sinners against himself, lest you become weary and discouraged in your own souls. Verse 4, you have not yet resisted the bloodshed, striving against sin. Here's what he says, plain English, plain English, plain English. Y'all ready? Plain English. You ready? Plain English, Vicky. I think they're ready for it. Benita, they're ready. Here's with plain English. Whatever you're going through ain't killed you. That's what he's saying in verse 4. Whatever you wrestling with ain't killed you. So stop your complaining. That's what he's saying in verse 4. Whatever you button up against, it has not taken you out, because here you are still alive. Here you are still alive. You on Zoom, you on Facebook Live. You getting up every day. God is blessing you with fresh breath, life. You got roof and 4 walls. You got food. You got a little gas in your car. Got a little stimulus check. Life is, listen, he's saying, yet you have not yet resisted the bloodshed. That is, one translation said like this, you struggle against sin, but your struggles ain't killed you. Another translation says, for in your trouble against sin, you have not yet resisted to the point of being killed. You ain't been killed. So why you moaning? Why you griping? A few more weeks ain't gonna hurt you. Whatever this is, we're gonna get through this. So I know you're a little fatigued, but Hebrews says, consider chapter 11, therefore, and then consider Jesus who endured the cross and dealt with hostility from sinners. And unless what you're going through is going to kill you, you got this. You got this. So go ahead and sleep well. Take your medicine. Wash your face tomorrow morning. Some of you need to, it's been about 29, 30 days. About time you wash them pajamas you've been sitting in the house in. It's about and then you like that, Cynthia? Yeah, about time you wash them pajamas. Go ahead and change your sheets. Go ahead and clean your room. Go ahead and wash them dishes. Go ahead and vacuum. Go ahead and live. Because you're going to be all right. You're going to be good. Don't be upset because you ain't been able to have a manicure and a pedicure. Take nail file out and go on cut them down. It'll be all right. Go and do what you got to do. Go and wash your hair. Go ahead. Do what you got to do. Continue to show kindness. Bless somebody. Help somebody. Encourage somebody. Come on. We got this. Don't be distracted by how long this is, because this too shall pass. Hebrews is basically telling us the next time you want to complain, consider chapter 11. And if 11 is not enough to motivate you, then consider Jesus, who on purpose stayed up under the cross and hostility that he received from sinners. Consider all of that and realize you can make this. And let me read, beginning at verse 12. Verse 12 says, therefore strengthen the hands which hang down and feeble knees, and make straight paths for your feet, so that what is lame may be not dislocated, but rather be healed. Pursue peace with all people in holiness, without which no one will see the Lord. Look carefully, lest anyone fall short of the grace of God, lest any root of bitterness springing up cause trouble, and by this may become defiled, lest there be any fornicator or profane person like Esau, who for one morsel of food sold his birthright. And you know Esau later regretted that impulse act, because he wanted God's blessing, but by then it was too late. Tears or no tears. You know, all Hebrews is saying is this: strengthen yourself. Wash your hands. Put on your mask. Be out when you need to be out. Be home when you should be. Encourage your children through this. Help them through the homework. Be willing to still help your church. Keep sowing. Keep connecting. Keep reading. Keep studying. Keep pressing. That's what Hebrews 12 is telling us. Keep pressing. You're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. You are going to be all right. You're going to be all right. I don't know how to spell it. Y'all can put it up there for me. But y'all going to be all right. That's what Hebrews 12 is saying. So take that and put it under your pillow tonight and sleep on it. I'm going to be all right. It's going to be all right, right? It's going to be all right. I know a little song. It's going to be all right. Yes, it is. It's going to be all right. Turn to your neighbor, to your left or to your right. It's safe to do that, right? But if you're on Zoom, you got somebody on your left and right on my screen. So turn to your left and to your right and tell your neighbor it's going to be all right. You're watching me on Facebook Live, turn to somebody and say it's going to be all right. Text somebody and tell them it's going to be all right. Post on your Facebook page, it's going to be all right. Send this message to somebody and in the text line put it's going to be all right, because it is. It's going to be all right. 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 Because Jesus, for the joy that was set before him, endured the cross, despising the shame, sat down on the right hand side of the Father, and considered the fact that he endured the hostility that was turned towards him by the sinners, lest you become weary and discouraged. So I end tonight by I cancel the spirit of weariness and discouragement. I bind it in the name of Jesus. Yeah, I'm still going to do that. I operate as a bishop in the Lord's church, as his prophetic representative. I bind, Matthew chapter 16, I bind the spirit of weariness and discouragement, lest we be tempted to become impulsive or to relax and bring ourselves in situations that we did not ask. I speak peace to everyone who is watching and listening and plugged into this lesson. I speak peace to them. Weariness, die. Discouragement, be suppressed and crushed. And may the example of all of those in chapter 11, and may the example of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ fuel our faith to finish this and to finish it strong. In the name of his son, Jesus Christ. Amen. It's going to be all right. It is going to be all right. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. Got some great things happening this weekend. We got, I do a segment every week. I do a segment every week called Ask the Bishop, where you get to hop on my Zoom page. I send you my personal Zoom page, and it's just an opportunity for you to ask questions and get answers. Questions about anything about the Bible, about life. You get a biblical worldview. And so I want you to join me this coming Saturday at 5 o'clock. I'll send a link. Look for the link on my page. But look for the link, 5 o'clock. And we just have we just ask questions. We have fun just answering questions about everything, about life in general. So it's doing Ask the Bishop. This is the best time to get questions asked. So if you have a question, you can send it to me in advance at bishop.shanklin@gmail.com. I get those questions in advance. We'll make sure that those questions get answered. But let's answer those. We just ask the bishop, and we're here on Sunday. Our children's ministry are plugged in. Please, if you invited anyone to join in these virtual services, we want to be, especially New Life, if they're visitors or guests of yours, we definitely want to shepherd and encourage them. They're part of our virtual church community, and we have an opportunity to bless them. I need you to send me that information or send it to Elder Selton. Make sure that he gets that information so he can start the work of connecting with them and sending them, if anything, resources. I have tons of resources of messages that I preach, of lessons that I've taught that we can shape and release to them so that they can have it, references that they may need, things that we can help people get through this pandemic and build their faith. Because I'm looking beyond the pandemic. Because what I don't want to have happen is that when this pandemic is over, all that we have built up in ourselves get lost because we just go crazy because the doors have, the thing has been lifted. We want to maintain our stride and not lose all that we've been working on in the faith during this pandemic. So we got material information we want to send you. That's why we're connecting you to those things. So send that information to Elder Selton. If you don't have his information, certainly send it. Go to our webpage, New Life, nlfm.net, and there's a guest form. Fill out the information there, or bishop.shanklin@gmail.com. Give us an opportunity to shepherd and minister to your family and your friends during this pandemic. We will call them and have prayer with them. We will, like I said, we'll send them encouraging notes and words, but we want to reach the virtual community. Those of you who weren't on at the beginning, I announced that this past Sunday, we reached 7,500 people through our Sunday virtual service. We reached literally over 7,500 people watched our Sunday worship. Thank you, praise team, and watched our Sunday worship and heard a message. He rose, we rise. Over 7,500 people, and several hundred people watched our sunrise service. So that's how many people we have reached globally. We had somebody who came on that is already in Panama City. We reach people from Africa are tuning in every week. People in London are tuning in every week for the message of God. And so we are doing ministry because New Life, we were raised for such a time as this. So it's just a wonderful time. So please connect, stay connected. And I want to let you know that we're going to be starting our FaceTime groups, our virtual FaceTime groups very soon, probably within the next week. And it's going to be exciting. It is literally going to be exciting to put you through Zoom and through our other technology, put you in rooms with other like-minded people to grow. We got some subjects. We got facilitators. That is going to be truly amazing. So our FaceTime groups are going to be off the chain, and you'll be able to be a part of a FaceTime group and be able to just talk about life and work through things. It's just simply going to be amazing. So I just want to bless you with that. So, and don't forget to call our prayer line at 844-968-1866. It'll be up an hour after we hang up. People are ready to pray for you. Let them do it at 844, that's 968-1866. And people are going to pray for you. That 844-968-1866. Call that prayer line. People will be praying for you. It's just going to be simply amazing indeed. So God bless you. And Father, I just release your grace upon all of us who are on this study and all of those who will view this later. We're on a mission that your word will reach your people and it will comfort them during this coronavirus pandemic. You are faithful and will continue to be faithful. In the name of your son, Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen and amen. God bless you all. God bless you so much. Volunteers, thank you. You'll be hearing from us soon, but I miss you. I truly miss you. I truly miss the literal fellowship that we have been in person. So we're we're gonna get there, and boy, the celebration is gonna be great. So I bless you guys, and I'll talk to you later. See ya.
Bless you, Bishop.